A very good evening to you who is watching us right now on Church of Uganda Family TV. We don't take you for granted. We are grateful that you've given in this time to learn with us. Here we are with Health Port. Now, Health Port is a program brought to you by Makerere University School of Public Health together with Church of Uganda Family TV. And here we discuss health, centering around maternal and child health, early childhood development, and other public health concerns. And of course, we know we have had a series of issues with our school-going children because this is almost their second month in school. The second month is also elapsing soon. But we've had very many cases of our students. Now, today we are going to look at most of these common health elements at school and more, and how we can deal with them without panic. Of course, with me, Edrine, Osteen, Mukalazi, and with us is the one, a friend to this program, and you're a member actually.
Yes, yes, I'm not a visitor.
You're not a visitor. We have Dr. Hannifah Namala. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Edrine. Dear viewers, our beloved viewers, as you know, I'm not a visitor here.
Sure.
So I'm part of the system, and I thank so much management for embracing us to have such time where we talk to people about issues concerning their health. Many times people think about health when they are sick.
Exactly.
But you remember how we defined health. You don't wait until you get sick and then you think about health. So what you have talked about what is happening to our children as they are in school, we know it's now 2 months. In fact, some of them beginning August, around there, 20th, they'll be getting their holidays. But as people in the health sector who move to schools as school doctors and school health team, there are things that we have noted that we would like to bring to the attention of our dear viewers and listeners, so that we can actually have a better understanding of what is happening.
We are indeed grateful that you actually give in this time. You know, we don't take this time for granted, especially each time you sacrifice your precious time to come and talk to us about some of these issues. So today we are dealing with the common health elements at school. And Doctor, from your experience, one, working partly with the students or the children under Stepping Stone platform, and also as a director at SAS College, of course you've been exposed to very many students, and I believe you now have a lot of information about these common elements that we're dealing with at school. So yeah, I think we shall start with what has actually caused a lot of alarm and threat and fears to very many parents, and that is the cough and flu.
That is very true. I'm also a visiting doctor to several schools, both primary and secondary. Flu and cough is the commonest, but it's not news. By the way, it has always been the commonest health ailment, especially around this age group. Of course, we know we have students in primary and secondary, but cough, ebifuba, it has been the commonest, except that most people think that cough is pneumonia. I laugh when I go to visit schools and students come and say, yes, Dr. Hannifah, you know what? I have pneumonia. Pneumonia. A person with the pneumonia cannot just come laughing and is, moving very steadily. Well, there is mild pneumonia, but also most of the coughs are just what we call upper respiratory tract infection. Meaning that it is an ordinary cough, whereby you are coughing. Sometimes it is irritating. Have you ever gotten that irritating? Sometimes it is when it irritates, so students start coughing, almost continuously, but not like whooping cough, because we know that we thank God that long ago there was a lot of whooping cough. Someone would cough and they go. That is why they called it whooping. But now most of these cough usually goes with the flu. It's in the upper part of the system that helps us to breathe. So that is the nose, the windpipe, and those other, smaller parts above your lungs. So this is very, very common. Why? Because we know most coughs are contagious.
Yes.
And you know what is happening, students? Those in primary, you were also once in primary. We used to eat pancake. You bite,
And
the thing in the mouth is the one you give. So when I take my kabalagala, I move it and give you. And then we share like that of ourselves. Nowadays, probably it's not happening, but they are sharing bottles. These days, they take sodas, those soft drinks. So they use the bottle. Give me some, give me some. Especially in primary.
So mean they get the lead. They pour a little.
They get the lead.
One to another one.
These days, I see them just opening their mouth and they pour. But all the same, remember that most of these coughs are viruses. So they can be transmitted so easily. They are sleeping in the dormitory. You can imagine what is happening in the dormitories. Not even our homes are aerated according to national standards, that a window must be this for one person. So you find that in school, the cough and flu is a lot. And in this era, when people are more conscious about COVID, when people start coughing, sometimes they have fever. Of course, they have malaise. Malaise is when you feel that muscle pain. You feel like you are weak, but with muscle pain. They say enyamenuma. So that is very common with viruses because they are inside the body and they are affecting the muscles. So you get that would be muscle pain. You feel fever. Feverish, you may be hot or you may not be hot. But nowadays, I've noted that most students with flu, they have a very high fever. So the onus is on schools to make sure that they actually take the temperatures, because it is so tempting to think that it is not actually just flu. So they have to do the screening and of course do malaria, because the commonest cause of fever is malaria. Okay. So if I see a student before me has a lot of flu, cough, sometimes the eyes are a bit red, probably some of them are crying, but also, the flu is irritating. So you do malaria is negative, we continue knowing that this is called an upper respiratory tract infection. You are becoming Dr. Edrine soon. So with such, it is so common. You find a whole dormitory is coughing, a whole class is coughing. They are sneezing. That is pretty fine. So in this era, we are teaching. I remember my students used to go to a certain primary school, and it was a major for you to have a hanky. So the school director and head teacher would stand, show your hanky, show your handkerchief, which was pretty fine. So in schools, it's easier to use a handkerchief than these other soft tissues. The tissues, because you imagine if everybody has a box of we learned in COVID, use those ones and throw away. But in schools, we encourage hankies. So we have found that, and what we teach the school health teams is that if a child comes with flu and cough, if they have a fever, of course, control the temperature. If it is irritating, you give something to avoid that irritation. And of recent, one person told me, are you becoming a herbal doctor? No. I sit on the National Drug Authority Board, and herbal medicine is being recognized. By the way, there is a law. There is a law on traditional medicine. Yes, contemporary, medicines, which is actually the herbs. So we should teach our children that herbs is not witchcraft. Because most of these coughs are not easily going with ordinary cough linctors. Why? Because the children usually take cough linctors anyhow.
Because it is tasty.
It is tasty anyway. These local herbs that have been proven are actually very, very important. The only thing is that, of course, you go to pharmacy. By the way, we used to have those known herbs.
Yes, I also remember them.
We used the chisacha musad. You remind me.
It was one of the things we used to have.
Kabuti, manya what? We are not here really to whatever. But what I'm saying is that let schools also start buying some of those proven herbal medicines. those ones that have undergone regulatory authorities, and you know that they can be used. I remember our school nurse at Chisas College one time, almost the whole school was coughing. Cough. So I told her, go and get the back skin of mango, chitaferi, those things, you know, those things we used to cook in COVID. So cook, give children with what? With the honey. Banang, the children say, the nurse is not giving us medicine, she's giving us witchcraft. So, and we know that we can't keep, we can buy the syrups, but even the syrups can be herbal. So I've been telling I train school health teams that please buy some of these herbs. Honey is very, very important because it helps to soothe them. It is irritating. You cannot even feed. Some it irritates until they vomit, especially the lower age group, those below 10 years, nursery. They cough, they vomit. The moment they take tea sugar, they are in uniform, they have, as they move out, they cough and vomit. So coughs are very, very common. A few of the coughs go into what we call lower respiratory tract infection. We've been talking about our upper. Now lower is the real pneumonia, the coughs that are really very, very bad. The ones that can, interfere with breathing. Children start breathing either fast and, reduced oxygen, like we used to have in COVID, because COVID used to cause a pneumonia. Okay? So those coughs are the ones where we even let nurses tell them that if you check the respiratory system, high fever, no malaria, child is vomiting, then you refer. That's when you take the child to hospital. Nurses complain, you know what students do? Because they want to go home. Also used to want to go home. They go and call, Mommy, I am dying, I can no longer breathe. A person who cannot breathe cannot talk, cannot even walk from the dormitory to go to have a call at administration. Sure. So parents panic, my child has called him, he's dying, he's not breathing. Well, unless if a school is really compliant at all, no school can hold a child who is not breathing. That child will be an emergency. So most of those coughs, unless if they do like that, they refer. However, just recently, was it last week, a parent said, omwana wange mumuleke kusomera. Omwana yakaveka mumuzeka. Pity schools. By the way, I swear upon God, we had to take the child to the nearest hospital. Said, okay, if you've taken the child, I will pay the bill. That is a bit not, very responsible. Because the schools are destined to do first aid. You see, first aid and then refer. Then you start asking, Santes after Sasule said Dagala money. And then you get, so coughs are really, if they go onto that level, then that is a problem. Of course, we have children who cough because they have chronic ailments like asthma. So with asthma, the good thing, most of the students, they know their issues. But their parents and students who baptize themselves wrong diseases.
They child,
you know what? May I have asthma? You check everything. There is no indication of asthma. Kumbe, they just want to dodge what? Housework. You know housework. But me, I can't sweep. When I sweep, I get an attack.
When I wake up in morning preps, I get an attack.
Morning prep, I get an attack. I can't be night preps. Kumbe, they just want to dodge what? So cough is very, very common. But what we are saying is that we don't give antibiotics. I know you people learned about azithromycin, amoxicillin, Septrin. Yes, during COVID. And to my dismay, many parents have given children antibiotics as first aid to keep. When you get cough, swallow one. That is very, very deadly. It is very, very dangerous because what happens is that you are creating resistance. Because I said most coughs, almost 90% of the coughs, you don't need an antibiotic. You don't. You just need those soothing, syrups and products, lots of drinks, rest and all those things, supportive treatment. But children have gone used to taking antibiotics. It is very deadly. even others they say mpa caps ya blue ya green ne mpa ya red ne yellow mpa, you know,
we don't know the names, but
you don't know the name.
So
that color never changes.
Let's take a short commercial break, Doctor. When we come back, we shall begin from there. We welcome you back from the short commercial break. This is HealthPort, a health program that is centered around giving you the right information that you need. Now, today we are discussing common health elements at school. Of course, we've had very many issues as parents are panicking over some of these elements that we are discussing today. With us is Dr. Hannifah Namala Ssengendo, who is a pediatrician, but also a mentor. And today she has also told us she's a school health trainer.
Yes, yes. We train school health teams.
Health teams.
Yes.
Doctor, we discussed cough and flu, and you've given us some of the precautions, if I can put it like that, and what we can do, the procedures. We also have a number of other elements, and one of these is malaria. Some malaria is imaginary, because when I remember what I used to do in school, and some people out there watching us, some malaria is imaginary. You just wake up because you're hungry and you say, I have malaria.
I have malaria. and for students it is worse. Instead of saying I feel fever, no, so I have malaria. So fever is not synonymous with malaria. We've just been talking about how cough brings fever. But it is okay for any fever, we think of malaria unless proven otherwise. So we have the rapid testing kits, where we test and see if a child has malaria. So malaria is of course common. It's really because it is endemic, meaning that for us here in Uganda, malaria is like our own disease. You know how people say so malaria is one of our own diseases. It continues. The good thing, most of the students, because at this age, children have good immunity. Most of the time, they don't go to severe forms of malaria. They get this malaria, swallow tablets, and then you are done. But of course, as at school level, what we are encouraging and what we request is for parents to buy insecticide-treated mosquito nets. You know what is happening? Parents buy, for me, I call them beauty nets. Pink, red, manya brown, or purple, white with the nice flowers, you know. That, unless if you go ahead to treat it, which is not very common, because you see the beauty of the net. It has even characters, you know. These characters the children like. Yes. They have put them there. And that's not an insecticide-treated mosquito. What we are telling our parents that what we need at school level, we need even others, insecticide-treated mosquito nets. Because you imagine, one mosquito can cause malaria to a population of 2,000 in a school, within a few days or a few hours. Because you imagine they're in the dormitory. Yeah. They are at assembly, they are at night prep, they are, eating, that mosquito can keep biting different people within no time. So one person with malaria can actually infect others. So malaria is really, really very common. In the dormitories, we teach school health teams to actually encourage parents to come with what we call the insecticide-treated mosquito nets.
How can we differentiate between an insecticide-treated net and the one that is not treated, the one you refer to as a beauty net?
A beauty net. Well, of course, unless if you treat it, but I know it is so rare for Ugandans to go and buy that medicine and treat the net, and the procedure for treating it is cumbersome. So most of the time, you have to buy from a pharmacy. But also the government of Uganda, I also sit on the National Medical Stores Board. We have distributed mosquito nets. They have even redistributed where malaria was very high in some of those districts. But at least buy a mosquito net, not from the roadside really. They just write with a marker. Permanent mosquito net.
2x4.
2x4, man.
as you park in traffic jam.
Then you buy. You are actually doing yourself a disservice, because that mosquito, that net that you are hiding, because you are saying, the other one is expensive. It is more expensive to treat your child with malaria. Why? They will lose time. That is the quality time. And you will lose more money, because severe malaria is actually something that is not easy. So malaria is real. But the key message that we are giving as Church of Uganda Family TV, parents, students are coming back in 1 month.
Yes.
Change that net and buy an insecticide-treated mosquito net, not a beauty net. You know? One of the other things that I have actually noted, our children have issues with their mouth.
Talk about it. And
Yeah. And when Kau sets in, buying toothpaste is a luxury. But on a serious note, I know most schools actually ask parents to take their children for medical checkup. Abana abasinga, they don't take them. Students have those holes. I will call them like that because we are on a
Parents have friendly doctors who they just call.
You do that whatever and you put me. They called me. I told you one time here, Dr. Hannifah, do you do medical forms for students going back? Akusindikira yeche instead of paying like 300 for medical checkup. But with due respect, the mouth is a very complicated issue. First of all, our children don't know how to brush. I think one time we shall even come and you need to do a demonstration. How should you brush too? They don't know how to brush, especially the tongue. Do you know the tongue is the one that causes the mouth to smell most? The tongue. The tongue sticks most of the foods. Our children eat the sweets. Schools have ice cream. Most of those soft drinks are so sweet. Do you think our children brush every after those? Do they?
No.
Not even us adults. It is not even easy. So they have most of those dental ailments, especially the holes, if I may use the word, decays. The gums like ngechibuno chimuruma. And like sometimes you tell them like for that gum, I'll use a simple language of gums, being inflamed, gingivitis, but let's just use the common man's language. Using salty water, abana bafite bakyasenyesa na kumunyu. Do you know that's a very important first aid?
Some don't even know that is a first aid.
It is first aid, especially when your mouth is smelling. You have a small wound inside there on the tongue. The gum is red. You have to use that warm salty water. And that is a very important first aid that we teach the school nurses and whatever. But please, parents, when our children come back, take them to a dentist so that they check. That small hole might require eventually to remove our teeth, and for us girls, we want beauty. You men at least, but for us, if you remove the teeth, you interfere with beauty. Of course, related to the mouth is the skin, but on the skin, for me, I want to talk about the feet.
There is also common skin disorders like olumu and that we cannot really just underlook. So at least we can combine the two.
Olumu and carboni mugere. Olumu is actually also very common. It's not as common as we grew up. When we grew up, it was a lot, just because sanitation has improved. Olumu is treated by sanitation, especially you boys. Young boys don't want to bathe. They bathe or they just pour with water. So it spreads easily. Kabazimbi ke kaliwa bigere. And they disappear. Yes. So olumu is actually ringworm in English, It is also very common, not as much, but the problem is that it spreads very fast because they share basins, they share the buckets, and they wash together. It's so hard to control. But in addition to that, because of poor sanitation, especially our adolescents who don't shave well, who don't even know how to shave, who shave and they get wounds, that is the worst because they start smelling. Hair and germs. Germs want damp places. So they will settle in that hair that the children are not shaving. And some parents are shy to tell their children to what? To shave. Abana bibagambira ku ssomero. You are the parent. When they come back, relate shaving to health. If you don't shave, you'll smell. You don't shave, you'll get bad wounds. You know? And now when it comes to the feet, especially men feet and socks, oh my God. And when we go to students, it is the worst. Why? Sometimes they put on not raw, but wet
stockings.
Wet stockings. Oh man, I told you germs want dampness. So, carboni mugere, the feet can smell. So, those things are very, very common. And we teach them. I keep telling them, anyone with carboni mugere, can we remove shoes when we go for medical checkups? And you see them fidgeting. So let's encourage, just a simple message. Never wear a sock that is wet. You know? Try to make sure that that socks is clean. And when you are washing your feet, simply wash between the toes. Because this, and when you wash between the toes and you are drying, try to dry your feet. Why? Why is it important? Because they stay in the socks the whole day. Yeah. They put on socks at 4 a.m. They put on socks until after prep, which is 10 p.m. So that means if this in between was not dried, it will stay wet, the germs will enjoy. They start, rotting, and the carboni mugere comes. So basically, some of those are the common things that I've found very, very important. Of course, the eyes, we no longer have a lot of red eyes. Yeah. I found it in 2 schools, but it was just isolated cases because it is something that is of public health importance. So basically, what we are saying is that these are common ailments that we find in our school children. Yes.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And I think with that, the message is already home now. To you who has been watching us, I believe you have picked at least something out of this entire discussion. So thank you so much for watching Health Pod. Edrine, Osteen, Mukalazi is my name. We had Dr. Hannifah Namala Ssengendo. God bless you. We meet again next time.